What's up, guys? If you're interested in hanging out and chatting with me while I grab footage that you'll likely see in future videos, head on over to my Twitch channel linked in the description below, where we can talk all things COD, gaming, whatever life throws at us. Hope to see you there, but let's get back into the content at hand. Warzone Season 5. Man, when I talked about how I thought Season 4 went down and that it wasn't my ideal season, what I did have in mind for what could be coming was what we actually saw with this trailer that released today for the new content at hand. Season 5 looks to be a bang in both literal and metaphorical senses as it launches late tomorrow evening for most of us in the States, earlier than the morning on Wednesday for Europe, then I guess technically still tomorrow night on the West Coast in LA. So while we're a little over 24 hours away from the next season of Modern Warfare and Warzone, today I want to take some time and go over with you what you may have missed, and honestly, there's a bunch of stuff to go over. So that said, firstly, what do you think of the trailer? What do you look forward to in Season 5? Whatever it is, feel free to let me know because I'm ready to go. But as well, if you are new to the channel, perhaps a part of that 58% of viewers not subscribed, do be sure to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all things Modern Warfare and Warzone Season 5 and potentially a COD 2020 reveal on the very, very near future as we head into Season 5. We have so much content here planned over the next couple of days and weeks, so make sure you don't miss any of it and stick it right here. But anyways, there's so much to discuss, so let's jump into the content at hand. If you haven't seen the trailer already just yet, you'll see some bits and pieces of it here in the background as we scroll through everything we're talking about. But if you want to see the full thing in its entirety, I'll leave the link down there in the description below. Personally, I think it's one of my favorite trailers that we've seen for Modern Warfare and Warzone thus far, so definitely recommend checking it out if you haven't done so already. But we saw a lot of stuff in relation to multiplayer as well as Warzone. Let's jump on over firstly talking about the MP side of things here. If Warzone isn't your cup of tea, we'll save that for a little bit later, though there are definitely some major Warzone changes coming, which we'll break into in just a bit. But for the MP maps, we end up seeing that over the course of the season, we'll end up seeing 4 maps introduced, or at least 4 that we know of right now. Whether or not there's a 5th one hidden away or not, we don't know, but we end up seeing Sudal Harbor, which is a 6v6 map, Verdansk International Airport, which is a ground war map, Livestock, which is a gunfight map, and then Petrov Oil Rig, which is again another 6v6 map. I wouldn't expect all of these to be coming as of late tomorrow night into Wednesday morning, but instead maybe 2 or 3 of these coming right up front, and then 1 or 2 being saved for the mid-season update, as we've seen with previous seasonal launches as well. Now, Harbor, a 6v6 map, reminds me of a 6v6 version of Docks almost, which looks to have some good ranges for all sorts of engagements. But the one thing that stuck out to me, which honestly could be nothing and really is nothing that points to the map overall, but instead is maybe the mode they teased, was a mode that ended up having a brand new bomb defuse sequence sort of audio with it. It could be nothing, but my mind immediately went to a new bomb-oriented mode, which, even though it's unlikely, holy hell, I would lose my mind with excitement if they finally made global thermonuclear war an official game mode. That was cut back in the days of Modern Warfare 2, but players were able to bring it up via modding, and which was a ton of fun. You had to fight over one specific nuke bomb point, like a hard point, but it was a bomb as if it was search and destroy, and once you captured it, you won. So it was a giant tug of war with a static hard point in a sense, but like the map goes boom after. So that was really cool and a nice little fun twist. Really cool if that came here with this, but I don't know, that might be nothing. Verdansk International Airport is a new ground war map, and it looks like how we saw in the promotional images, but it looks to be a lot bigger than we may have considered. It looks to go end to end for the tarmacs, including the hangars, including the parking structures, including the actual terminal building of the current airport in Verdansk. So you have a lot of area to work with. Maybe a larger one. By comparison, I'm not entirely sure where it would scale in terms of, say, against things like Krovnik farmland, maybe Karst River Quarry, but it definitely is a hefty amount of land you have. One thing to note though, and I saw a bunch of uproar about this, was the use of tanks in this sequence, to which if you weren't really paying attention, you didn't see this mentioned as a ground war map, or maybe you saw it out of context, you may think there are tanks coming to Warzone, but by all indications, that doesn't seem to be the case. It only seems to be for this sequence, which is a ground war portion of airport, not actually Warzone itself. I wouldn't worry about that too much just yet. Livestock is a gunfight 2v2 map that looks to be a portion of farmland from the ground war map, perhaps. So that'll be interesting to play around with that one. Petrov Oil Rig is a 6v6 map in which it's a classic map in Modern Warfare. It was initially actually cut from Modern Warfare 2 from the campaign mission The Only Easy Day Was Yesterday, but it eventually ended up coming in the form of Offshore in Modern Warfare 3. Now, whether or not this is a faithful recreation or not, it'll be cool to see, but a nice change of visual pace for how the map looks compared to what we have in terms of a lot of desert maps and things like that, as well as other urban locale as well. So it'll be nice to see this one here, and I'm excited to jump into that one. But That's your MP changes that we ended up seeing in terms of new content coming, again, at launch and then in season. As for Warzone changes, though, this is where it gets pretty spicy, because there's a lot about Warzone that's being added, changed, or somewhat altered. For Warzone, we ended up seeing there's actually two new POIs, or points of interest, Stadium and also Train. Now, both of those are, of course, labeled areas on the map as is, but both are actually opened up. Stadium being the larger of the two that are opened up and have accessible areas inside now, but Stadium was blown from the rooftop, in which our preview teasers a week or so back now look to instead have been maybe that shockwave of the roof falling, not necessarily an explosion on the field, but it introduces multiple levels of play, the stands, the fields, the rooftop, and so on and so forth, with a bunch of hallways like concessions and deeper areas as opposed to just the open field that you can explore with a couple of doors leading to the outside. So it looks to be really cool in terms of how much depth this adds to new playable areas, but what's also cool is that we saw a brief glance at a banner for COD Champs inside the stadium as if it were a real-life ad. And we also saw multiple screens with distortion, no signal, that sort of stuff, but that could be something that ends up playing into the future reveal alongside other banners. So keep an eye out for that one perhaps, but that'll be interesting. As for Train, we saw very little glimpses of the interior, but it looks to just open it up a little further, adding more hallways, adding more areas of play, as opposed to just those few corridor stairwells and the general concourses that we have currently. So it looks pretty cool, but also not nearly as big as an open area stadium. Then we ended up seeing the confirmation of the loot train, which one looks to have tons of loot on it. You can see multiple flashes of legendary loot crates all across the train cars. There looks to be turrets on it, and it also could be something that may be indestructible like GTA 5's train. So that may prompt some Mythbusters videos, but it plows right through an SUV and just annihilates it. So make sure you're not caught on the tracks whenever that thing's coming around. Another big one that I'm really excited for is that of the inclusion of new grapple features. Now, my big thing, if you follow me on Twitter, you know I cannot stand when people camp on top of rooftops. Mainly things like top ATC, the air traffic control, on top of the stadium that you have right now where you can't get up there unless you have a helo, on top of the airport terminal overlooking, say, the parking structures, you can't get up there again. There's a bunch of buildings in downtown that really only have 1 or 2 points of entry. So my big thing is that I was always so tired of dying to people that just didn't move up there with no real consequence to them camping. But now with these grapples, it looks to add on multiple different locations where you can scale the outside of the map and also get up there, adding in another range and point of entry for those very campy areas. So we'll have to wait and see how many of them are actually around, what areas have them included, whether or not things like ATC and Top Airport have those as well. But from the promotional images, it looks like Stadium will have that, and it also looks like from the trailer, a bunch of the buildings in downtown will have that. So a huge positive if you ask me. We also see some new cosmetics in the way of vehicle trails, which are interesting. But then outside of that, we see some of the cosmetics and things we'll be seeing functional and customization wise in season 5 as well, including new operators, new weapons, and customization in uniforms. For operators, of course, we saw Lurch in there. Rose isn't necessarily a new operator, though she is kind of marketed as a new part of the new faction of Shadow Company, but Velikan and Lurch are available to see here, or at least we think it is Velikan. Lurch, though, we know exactly what he looks like. We see the new weapons of the AN-94. The APC-9 may have popped up, but I must have missed it, but the AN-94 is front and center. There's new customizations, including a ton of really cool uniforms that I actually may end up taking advantage of once those end up coming out. But overall, that stuff rounds out what we ended up seeing here in this trailer, and there's, again, some really cool features, I think, coming out of this Season 5 trailer that just get me really excited. And like I said at the intro, I'm actually thinking that this is what my expectations were for, say, Season 4. So to now have this sort of lull period out of the way, I'm excited to jump back into it. Interestingly enough, though, not shown in the trailer, but were in the game files as of what some people could pull out of some of these smaller updates that went out for preloading of Season 5, it looks like there are now weapon inspect animations for every weapon. So that could be something coming as well that we just now have right on the horizon, but wasn't showcased in this trailer. But anyways, that is where we're going to wrap it up. That is everything you may have missed here out of this trailer and what Season 5 looks to hold. A lot of cool stuff for sure. But anyways, that's where we're going to wrap it up. I'd love to get your thoughts and feedback down there in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of this? Are you looking forward to anything in particular? Anything that stood out for me from the trailer? Whatever it is, feel free to let me know. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you drop a like down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing. We're getting all things Modern Warfare, updates, news, information, information, tips, tricks, all that good stuff. We get you covered on the channel. So if any of that interests you, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing, especially as we round into season 5 and what could be a 2020 reveal shortly thereafter. As well, if you want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, those are the best places to get kind of outside of YouTube. Probably live on both those. So if you guys want to start a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, that link is down there in the description below. That said, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.